Today we're going to talk about low relief sculpture. In the prior videos and projects you've done, you've been working with stamps, and stamps are great. However, working with stamps, you usually have to work in slab form before you've constructed your project. You need to have it on a flat surface, you need to be able to put some back pressure on that. And so stamps are great, but they have limitations. With low relief sculpture, you can work on existing projects already assembled, and also might have curved surfaces, which would be very difficult to stamp. A great example of a low relief sculpture comes on coins. Very limited amount of thickness that they're working with, but yet that image really stands out. So take a look at a quarter sometime, and that's a low relief sculpture. For my project today, I started this drawing here. This is hoping to hike a large portion of the Appalachian Trail next summer. And so I'm thinking about that quite a bit. This is one of the logos for the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, and I made some adjustments to it and added a few things, and worked on that on a 5x5. So take some time drawing your design before you work on this project. And then what I did was I took a kind of a dull pencil and went over the design and transferred that design to my tile. If the pencil's too sharp, it will kind of poke through the paper. And you can also work on tracing paper, which then you can see your clay, and the tracing paper can tend to hold up to your pencil a little bit better, so try that out. So when I transferred my design using the pressure of the pencil, this is what showed up here on this left side, and kind of gave me a vague idea where things were. And I've been carving on this for a little while now, and you'll notice that I've removed quite a bit of material here on this side. And I want to point out how I did this and maybe show you a little bit of working, and then a couple considerations of what makes a good sculpture in my opinion. So tools, first of all. In our tool bin, you're going to find a lot of what I call loop tools, ribbon tools. These tools have a variety of sizes and shapes on the end, and just I'd grab a whole bunch of these when you start the sculpture. And one you're going to definitely want is a flat one like this, flat end, and then you're going to want some small little guys like that to get into some detail. Another great tool are, I think these are actually intended for painting, but these are rubber tip tools, and they have a variety of sizes and shapes as well. And these are great for cleaning up surfaces and edges. I'll show you that in a second. And then really needle tools, these kind of cleanup tools are great. So just grab a whole bunch of things. You're going to need a lot of tools for this project. All right, so what I've been doing here is basically removing material. And initially it's just going to be kind of just getting some material out of here that you want, and I had to take into consideration what I wanted to remove. So for example here, I wanted these to look like some kind of mountains or some clouds, and so I had to remove this material, but then in order to make this mountain look like it's behind the other one, I had to remove more of that one at the edge and then work my way up. And also I had to consider this edge and the edge of this circle here at the same time. So kind of a lot going on, so take your time and really figure out what it is you want to carve away. Another thing I've done too here is I've left this kind of rough a little bit, the background, and while I made these sort of more man-made objects like the circle and the letter, I tried to keep those a little bit smoother. So texture is really important when you're working on this. And then secondly, edges are going to be really important, especially when you don't have much thickness to work with. So what I want to show here is that if you make a real clean, crisp edge like this one, the edge that's really going to show up, and this is trying to show light coming down. So light will hit that, cast shadows or highlight things really well. And that kind of edge, an example of that would be something like this, where I've made the edge fairly crisp, right angled, and really distinctive. And you can see that the light does travel on that cast shadows or highlights. It really stands out. So make sure that these edges that you really want to stand out are clean and crisp and really thoughtful. And then in other places, I did not consider to have a real crisp edge because I didn't want that to look too man-made. I wanted that more organic. So for example, on the mountain edges, I haven't paid as quite of attention to make that a crisp edge. So I would say on this side, I got mostly things figured out. Now I got to go clean some stuff up. I'm probably 75% of the way on this side. This project will be one of your longest projects in the boot camp surface decorations, so plan on a few class periods for this one. A couple other things just to keep in mind. One is always be working on a piece of paper or something that's not going to be the tabletop surface. This clay will always stick to your shiny surfaces if you're putting a lot of pressure on it. Second thing is you're going to have to wrap this up. So at the end of the day, you're going to grab some plastic. Pretend this is plastic because I forgot to grab some. It's going to be below, on top of, really seal it up, make sure it's not going to come loose, and store this upstairs in your bin. And you're going to have to keep this essentially wet for a few days. So make sure you pay attention to that. And when you're done, write your name on the back and put it in the kiln room like usual, and have fun with this project.